Hello. So today we're going to be talking about one of my favourite things, which is horror movies, and in particular my favourite subgenre of horror movies, which is found footage. So this is going to be more of like 10 movies that if you're a found footage fan, you should probably check out or you might have missed. But we're not going to be covering things like The Blair Witch Project and Paranormal Activity and Chronicle and Cloverfield, because we all know those ones. I'll be counting down from 10 to 1, but they're not in any particular order. They're just my recommendations that I think you should check out. So let's go. So in at number 10, we have possibly the most famous one on this list, but some people still haven't seen it or overlooked it, and that's Grave Encounters. So this one is a film that's kind of based on a fictional ghost hunting TV series. So Grave Encounters is that TV series. This is the episode where they go into a sort of rundown, broken, abandoned insane asylum and spend the night there. They get locked in and obviously wackiness ensues. I really like this movie. I think it's got some great scares. The first half an hour does seem like it's going to be sort of a little bit cheesy, and then all of a sudden the scares kind of ramp up. It does have a sequel, Grave Encounters 2. It's still a good watch, but it does have a bit of a crazy ending. But this is definitely one for the sort of paranormal fans out there, and definitely one to check out if you haven't seen it, because it is a found footage classic in my humble opinion. So number 9, we have The Tunnel. And this is an Australian found footage movie. It's in a sort of documentary style, so you have cutaways and interviews, things like that. But it's all about some abandoned tunnels under Sydney that no one has been allowed to go into. So even though the film crew aren't allowed to go in and they don't have permission, they go down anyway to get the footage that they want to. And obviously things don't particularly go to plan, and they find out why those tunnels have been abandoned. I really enjoyed this, and also it's sort of felt weird to watch an Australian found footage movie because most of them are American, as we know. So The Tunnel is available on Amazon Prime, and that's where we watched it, but it's also available to watch free on YouTube, so you can check it out right here if you need to. I would say, yeah, definitely give it a go. It's worth watching. So in at number 8, we have Devil's Pass, or the Dyatlov Pass incident, depending on where you are in the world. But this one is... Oh, Alice making a cameo. She's not sticking around, rude. So this one is kind of loosely based on real events, and I'll explain why. So it's about the very famous Dyatlov Pass incident, which is a sort of stretch of mountains where 9 skiers went up there and disappeared. And there's been many documentaries about it, and this time, obviously, this is a found footage movie about it. So we have a group of people going up there to film a documentary to try and find out how they disappeared or what happened to them, to sort of retrace their steps. I will say that it does have a sort of really good sort of follow through of what they're doing up until a certain point. When it gets towards the end, all of a sudden the film takes a massive left turn and just goes a bit batshit. And I quite liked that. But there's some really sketchy CGI at the end, and it does have way too many plots that don't seem to sort of really fuse together, I don't think. The end is insane, and it's definitely worth watching just for that, just because of how sort of off-piste, excuse the pun, it goes. Also, this film introduced me to a band called Oh Boy Lamech, who did a song called Unrest, which is over the end credits, and I love that song now, so it was worth checking out just for that, really. But if you want a really wacky found footage movie, this is definitely one to have a look at. So at number 7 we have Exhibit A. Now this is a British found footage movie. We don't see many of these, and this one concerns a small North Yorkshire family who are just trying to sort of live their lives and filming everything as they go. As we know, that's a found footage staple, is that there's always someone in the family or someone in the story who just can't stop filming, or else we wouldn't have a movie. But this one is about a family who don't realise that the father is in a bit of a financial crisis, and he begins to drastically unravel before your eyes. So it plays on that fear of like not really knowing someone that you think you do, or just having a sort of member of your family have secrets that you don't really know about. It's a really good one. The acting's incredible. It does feel very natural. It's definitely one that we were surprised about when I watched it. So it's one that I would recommend. I watched it on Amazon Prime, but I think it's available in lots of other places as well. So at number 6 we have Demon House, and this is a sort of documentary style found footage, and it stars Zach Baggins, who is a famous TV presenter in America, who does a lot of sort of ghost hunting, ghost adventures kind of thing. So it adds that level of authenticity, I guess, and he knows really how to sort of work the camera. So this one is about the titular demon house, which is bought as is by Zach because he's heard of lots of stories about there being lots of demon possessions that happen in the house. The acting is quite good in this one for the most part. I think there's a lot of cool recreations in it, as documentaries are known to do. I really enjoyed this one. I think it comes across as quite genuine, and Zach is that kind of unlikable, cocky presenter that you sometimes get on these kind of shows. So it works really well. It does have quite an abrupt ending, like most found footage movies do, but I think it's still really enjoyable and it's definitely worth a watch. In at number 5 we have Creep, or rather Creep and Creep 2. So this is not the one that's set in the London Underground with Franka Potente in it. It's actually the found footage movie. It can be found on Netflix, and it is about a guy who wants a documentary made of himself, or just to be filmed, because he has a terminal illness and he wants to leave behind some lessons for his child. We find out quite quickly that all is not as it seems with this guy. He is, as the title suggests, very, very creepy. So Creep 1 and 2 are both really good. They follow on from each other, kind of, but also, obviously, they don't have any supernatural elements to them. They're just really unnerving, and it's the kind of person that you could, sort of bump into anywhere and think, wow, I don't feel safe around this guy. So they do give you that sense of just unease a lot. You can find them on Netflix. Both of them should be on Netflix in the UK, probably in America as well. But yeah, if you can find them, definitely give these ones a watch. In at number 4, we have The Host. So this is probably the most recent one on the list. This was made in 2020 in lockdown during the pandemic. And like most of us in the pandemic, our social interactions and our lives have been spent on Zoom calls. So this one is set on a Zoom call. And it's a group of girls who want to do like an online seance. They want to see if this works, see if they can sort of, contact the spirit world through this medium that they've heard about online, who does Zoom seances. This one is a Shudder exclusive. Now, if you haven't heard of Shudder, it's basically like Netflix, but just for horror. And I really like Shudder. I think it's got some great content, especially the documentaries. They have some amazing docs on there about horror, so it's definitely something that I would recommend. This one works really well, especially if you're the kind of person that has been using Zoom a lot during the pandemic, and it just shows how much you can accomplish and what you can achieve on a really limited budget with a really great idea. So that's kind of the staple, obviously, of found footage movies. It's why most of us like them. But this is one that you definitely should watch just because it just hits home. So The Host, really good one. In at number 3, we have The Hangman. So this is another one that doesn't have any supernatural elements to it. And this one, it was available on Amazon Prime, and it's a sort of home invasion film. So you have a character who invades someone's home, puts up lots of secret cameras, and starts to basically sort of terrorize this family. It's a bit of a strange premise, because while you're watching it, initially you just think, why hasn't this family found all these cameras yet? Weird. But once you get past that sort of, your suspension of disbelief, it is just a really unnerving feeling. It's that feeling of like, when someone's broken into your home, or just the fact that you sort of feel like you're being watched in some instances, but this is actually happening inside the home that you live in. This one has a couple of actors who are quite famous, which kind of detracts from the believability a little bit for me, but it made it no less enjoyable. After a while, I just kind of got used to it, but it has Kate Ashfield from Shaun of the Dead and Jeremy Sisto from the original Wrong Turn and 6 Feet Under. So if you like those actors, then you're going to enjoy this anyway. It's just a really great concept and has you genuinely feeling unnerved when you watch the film at home, especially if you're on your own. So I would say, yeah, definitely check this one out. So in at number 2, we have House LLC. So there is a regular version and a director's cut of this one. This is one that we kind of stumbled onto after sort of seeing some other recommendations for found footage movies. And I love this. I think it's a great movie. So this one is about a group of people who create Halloween scare mazes. And they buy this place called the Abaddon Hotel, which is a really famous place where lots of sort of scary things have happened, and it's been basically sort of run down and derelict for a little while, and they want to turn this place into a Halloween scare maze. So obviously lots of crazy things start happening in that house while they're trying to set up this maze, and on opening night all hell breaks loose, quite literally, which is really great. And it does have some really good jump scares, some really creepy moments, and a great concept to it. This one can be found on Amazon Prime, and it's also on Shudder. They did make 2 sequels, which are Shudder exclusives, and I will say that the quality of those movies declined quite considerably. Even though they're still quite fun to watch, they just weren't as strong as that first one. But it was quite nice to sort of see a continuation of that hotel, and some of the characters in the first one sort of turn up and make cameos in the second and third. I have to say, this is a great film to watch around Halloween time. So if you can get a bunch of people together, pop it on a projector or something, you'll have a great time. Just crank the sound up and enjoy. It's just really, really cool. So in at number 1, we have The Taking, and that has its full title, which is The Taking of Deborah Logan. Depending on where you watch it, it'll have one of those 2 titles. Now, I think the title actually worked to the film's detriment when looking at the full title, because we have so many films that are like The Possession of This Person, The Haunting of This Person. And I think because there's so many and lots of them vary in quality, maybe this one got overlooked a little bit. But this is a fantastic found footage movie, probably become one of my favourites actually. So this one is all about a documentary crew who are going to a small town and a house that has a woman who is living with Alzheimer's. They're doing a documentary on mental illness, in particular dementia and Alzheimer's. However, you slowly start to figure out that the Alzheimer's might be something more malevolent, and it might be the fact that she is just possessed. This one obviously, sort of plays on the fact that it's a really sad story of watching a member of your family slowly just unravel due to the mental illness, but then realising that, something evil is going on. So the title character of Deborah Logan is played amazingly by a lady called Jill Larson, and it's the performance that basically sort of carries the film. It's both really endearing and terrifying at the same time. This film also has an ending where a particular scene and a particular shot will stay with you forever, and it's the one that's going to make you want to recommend this to other people. I won't say any more than that, but it just has a really terrifying shot at the very end of it. But this film is great if you can find it. I think we watched it on All 4. It was streaming for free on there, but you can find it on Amazon Prime, and it's definitely one that you'll want to show to other people and you'll want to recommend. I think it sort of flew under the radar for a lot of people, but this is such a good movie. As an add-on to all of these recommendations, I'll say that my favourite found footage movies are Rec and Rec 2, the sequel. These ones are Spanish, they have subtitles, they are just incredible. They have a really sort of, dark, foreboding atmosphere. They have a really great pace to them, and a really great monster in them as well. I think my favourite one is the second one, Rec 2. It takes place about 10 minutes after the first one ends, and that one just has a really great feel to it, and some sort of great horror elements to it. Don't watch the American remake called Quarantine. It's just not as good, and kind of retreads what this one is anyway, so there's not much point, but they are my favourite ones. So that was our list. That is my found footage recommendations for you. Do let me know in the comments if you've seen any of these, or if you watched them after, let me know what you think. Also, if you have any recommendations for me of any found footage movies that you think I might like, definitely drop them in the comments, because I'm always up for watching anything. And just make sure that you leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all the lovely YouTube things, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!